Good evening, everybody. How are we doing? 1 second. I need to fix that. There we go. Hi. So glad to see you all here tonight. We are about to see the preview for the very first ever wXw Pro Wrestling Grand Prix. It is going to be a phenomenal weekend. I am so excited. And I'm so excited to get to chat to all of you here live on YouTube this evening. If you're here, say hi in the chat. Tell me where in the world you are joining us here from this evening. And we will speak to you all in just a minute. But first of all, let me introduce my two co-hosts for tonight's preview. First of all, man I've known for many, many years. English commentator, a man they call the voice of Europe, Dave Bradshaw. How the hell are you doing, my friend?
Hello, Mark. How are you? I'm excited. I'm excited for the Pro Wrestling Grand Prix. Yeah, as you said, first time ever. I'm going to chance to be back in Oberhausen. For me, it's the first time I will have been there since 16 Carat Weekend in March. And just to have three different tournaments going on simultaneously over the course of 3 days. And of course, we've got the Extreme Wrestling Party and everything else in a circle. You name it. So there's so much going on over a short period of time. And I always say to people, like, of all my experiences in wrestling, one of my absolute favorite things to do is to come to wXw for one of these big 3-day weekenders. And I know that's a sentiment that's shared by a lot of the fans as well. And there's people coming from all over Europe. I know there's a lot coming with me from the UK to come and be a part of this weekend. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. As you said, there's going to be so much going on. 3 tournaments happening simultaneously over the course of the weekend. Oh, it's going to be so good. But before we get into that, we need to introduce our other co-host here this evening, the man who is a literal mountain of trash. It's Mulberg. How you doing, Mulberg?
Why does Dave get the cool announcement? Why am I the mountain of trash? That's not fair.
I mean, it's just how it is.
I've been
Mulberg for a while now. I thought you come to accept this.
Well, I mean, but he has like English commentator, and it's like cool and everything. And I've got Mulberg, like mountain of trash. Which, I mean, to be fair, yes, maybe true, but at the same time, I do. Trash has feelings, Mark. And these feelings are constantly abused by the likes of you who never tell me what's going to happen on the weekend.
Of course. Where is the fun in telling you what's coming up in advance? It's so much more fun to reveal it all to you here on the stream. And let's be honest, like this year, we've already shared so much on social media. I still have a couple of surprises for you all, so don't worry about that. But you already know the tournament matches, Matt. Well, what more can I tell you? What more do you want to know?
I know you're hiding stuff, Mark. I know you're always hiding stuff. Also, a little side thing.
He told me everything. Matt, he told me everything.
My hometown.
Yeah.
Minster.
I know everything. He's told me everything in advance. He said, we're just not going to tell Mett because Mett's such a control freak about knowing everything that we're just. It's funnier. It's funnier this way.
Since Dave Bradshaw is apparently your best friend, Mark, why don't you guys do the stream? Why don't I just sit here and watch?
Okay, see you later. Oh, this is going to be so much easier without him, Dave. This is going to be.
Yeah, he was here a little too long, I felt, but.
Yeah. I think we give him a little bit too much room to kind of rant, rave. So, anyway, let's say hi to some of the people joining us here tonight. So, Wrestling Focus. Hello, you beautiful people. Hello to you, Wrestling Focus. Thank you for joining us this evening. We have Mullet Alien. Hi, thanks for joining us.
Hi.
We have Sebastian. Thanks for joining us here this evening. Yanis, how you doing, my friend? Great to see you here on the stream. Hope you're excited for the weekend that's coming up. I mean, we're only, 3 weeks away now, Dave. Like, in 3 weeks' time, we will be there. We will be in the building. Show 1 will be ongoing. That's how close we are. It's going to be so exciting. Sandy's here. How you doing, Sandy? Great to see you. Wrestling Focus is joining us from Hamburg. Who's further away than Hamburg?
Me. I am. I'm in London. Is London further? Yeah, it must be.
I don't know. Maybe. I think we need to find
Germany's pretty big. Oh, Dan's here. Hello, everyone, he says.
Hi, Dan. How you doing, my friend? Good to see you. Versus Tim coming from Halasala. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I'm probably butchering it. My apologies. We got Nemox from Plowen. Again, I'm probably butchering that.
Haven't you've done German lessons? You've taken German lessons for a while now. You should be
absolutely
excellent at all these pronunciations of European town
Jesus,
names.
no. I wish I was. Maybe one day. I'm only just out of A1, which is like the bottom basic unit of German, and that's 3 years in, so that's hard. But look, we've got more people here. Let's keep saying hi to everyone. Rob Holly, hi, how are you doing? Oh wow. Lotzazel, so the first ever non-WWE wrestling show I will attend. I'm very excited. That is awesome to hear, and I'm sure you will not be disappointed. It's going to be a fantastic weekend, and we're going to go through everything you can expect to see very, very shortly. As Dan says, second best Mario Kart 64 player in Europe. I
want to address this. I want to address this, Mark, because Dan, Mayor of Painesville, Dan, I don't know how he continues to be mayor, by the way. Has there been elections? He seems to be lifetime mayor.
It's a dictatorship there in Painesville.
Yeah, it's a dictatorship. Exactly. He's not a mayor. He's been telling me for years that he's good. I am legitimately top 100 in the world at Mario Kart 64. Dan's been giving me all this for a long time on social media about how good he is, but it's all talk. I've never seen any evidence that he's even played the game, and so I think he's full of it. That's what I think, Mark. Just saying it like it is.
Fair. Right. Who else do we have? We have K Pixel joining from Munster. Good evening. Thank you for joining us here. Versus him says it should be Lotozel. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Jesus Christ. First of many events, and it should get addicting pretty fast. Absolutely. wXw events are incredible. Esmontoya says, let's effing go. Give us a minute. We will. Don't you worry. Marcel says, hi, how are you doing? Thank you for joining us. MB Legend, I just bought tickets for Saturday. Excellent. I mean, you should buy tickets for the whole weekend. We'll tell you why, but Saturday's going to be an amazing day. We'll speak about that a little bit later on. We have Bella joining us from Cologne. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. Ian Hamilton from Uxbridge.
Oh, Uxbridge. That's near me.
Is he further away from Germany than you are, Dave? Whereabouts are you based?
Well, he's west of London. I'm in sort of southwest. So I
would say Ian's further than you right now.
Slightly, by a couple of miles. Yeah.
Excellent. So Bruno, hi, good evening. How are you doing? Florence pronunciation. I did not expect that. Thank you. I expect you're being very kind, but there we go. And a €2 super chat. I can't wait for Naito. Yeah, absolutely. This just got announced yesterday. I'm not going to lie, a little disappointed they didn't let me reveal it here on the stream, but still, that is going to be incredible. I cannot wait to talk about it. And yeah, it's going to be so good, so fun, and Mulberg's back.
How did he get back in?
You have any idea how much hacking I had to do to get control?
Okay, well.
Do you know what though? Can we look? We can argue about the merits of whether Mett should be allowed in the chat, in the stream or not. But can we all just agree? Can we all just agree how wonderful it is that Robin Christopher Forwerk is not here?
Okay, you know what?
Oh my God, yes. I am so glad he is not here to annoy, to interrupt, to try and rewrite the narrative. Yeah. I'm sure whatever tech guys he had all disappeared when High Performer Limited went bankrupt, and I am forever grateful.
Those tech gremlins.
Who would have guessed as well? The company started from his daddy's trust fund would eventually go bankrupt under his leadership, eh?
Well, I mean, I heard he finally found out those NFTs he bought a few years back were actually worthless. So yeah, there we go.
Oh, well, I haven't lost any sleep over it.
Oh, no. Wrestling Focus, don't worry. Forwerk is no Joe Hendry. And again, we are forever grateful for that. But I think we've kind of sat here long enough, not really going anywhere. So let's take a look at what's coming up when my slides appear on screen.
It's the anticipation that's killing us here.
Yes, they are.
And there we go.
There we are. I am having trouble. They've updated this software since we last used it, and I am struggling today. Also, been a very long week, so there we go. Anyway, here it is. Here is the layout of the festival for all you lucky boys and girls who have got tickets. It is going to be fantastic. As you know, Inner Circle, Thursday night, Show 1, Friday night, followed by Extreme Wrestling Party. Saturday, we have Show 2 and Show 3. Sunday, We Love Wrestling, and finishing up the grand finale, Show 4 on the Sunday. What a weekend we have planned. And as always, it starts off with Inner Circle at the wXw Wrestling Academy Thursday night. I love these shows. You never know what's going to happen. Dave, what do you expect from the unexpected that Inner Circle always brings?
I don't know. I mean, none of us know. That's the whole point. Inner Circle is always, what I love about Inner Circle is it's that excitement. It's like Christmas Eve, isn't it? It's like that. It's that kind of like intimate atmosphere of the academy, and it's just like you never know who's going to show up. Even people who you didn't even know were going to be part of the weekend, they might be there. You just don't know. You don't know who's going to be paired against who. It's just such a fun way for people who've already got into the area to spend their Thursday and get psyched up for what is, I mean, it's a marathon of a weekend, right? Because there's 6 other shows in the Turbine House. So like there's so much wrestling, and it's almost like you're limbering up, but what a way to do so, because it's always incredible.
Plus you're right there. Like you're sitting here, maybe like 2 feet ahead of you, the ring is already there. That's the most fun part of Inner Circle for me. Just how close and intimate you are with the action. It's almost like your own personal wrestling show.
Yeah, absolutely. And the atmosphere is incredible. And as Wrestling Focus says, there are still tickets for Inner Circle. Why? They're limited, but there are a few still available. Like, I promise you, if you're free on that Thursday night, if you're near Gelsenkirchen, come get those tickets. You do not want to miss this show. Get whatever limited tickets still remain. Be there. Join us. We have no idea who's going to be there. We've seen some incredible matches in the past. And obviously, it always feels like those of you who put your faith in us to come to a show where nothing's announced, especially one in a venue, a small Intimacy Academy, you're always rewarded. Always. There have been some incredible matches there. I mean, there's so many to list. If I had to pick a favorite right now, I would probably have to say the time that we got to see Peter Tahani and Shigehiro Irie in the Academy. Wow. We could expect something just as mind-blowingly awesome this time. Dave, if you had to wish for one match to happen at Inner Circle, what would you wish for?
Oh, man, I don't know about a single match, but I do think it's, using my biased British wrestling hat, I do think it's a great opportunity for some of the guys from the UK to experience what German wrestling is all about and what the German wrestling fans are like, because a lot of them, coming into these big weekends, maybe haven't quite experienced. It is a different vibe to even the biggest shows in the UK. So to get a sense of getting to know the fans and what the feeling is like on being one of these big wXW weekends, not only could it be, not only is it very entertaining for the fans, but it's actually kind of useful for the wrestlers, because it gives them that they get into the zone, they get into their into their rhythm ahead of that weekend, because some of these tournaments, as we'll talk about, some of these are single elimination, right? So you literally you don't have time to warm up on the Friday. Like you can't misstep. You have to be ready to go and to bring your A game from the very first moment the bell rings. So to have that extra opportunity, if you can get to there on a Thursday to Inner Circle as a wrestler, I think it's an excellent opportunity to give yourself that a little advantage, because it's a very much a game of small margins, right? When you're in these tournaments, because everyone's world class. So just to give yourself that little extra advantage by getting there 24 hours earlier could be massive. Yeah,
absolutely. That's a great point. But at the same time, could you also be risking wearing yourself out, getting an injury early on? Like, Mett, what's your take on that? Is wrestling Inner Circle always a wise move for these people with their eyes on winning the tournaments?
I think that's something we bring up on commentary very often whenever we're sort of, doing a little first bit of analysis about how the weekend's going to go. you can go into Inner Circle, you could get a big win, and you could take that momentum, and that brings you forwards into your next match or your first match in the tournament, whatever tournament it be. And that might help you get over the first hump, the first opponent that you're going to have, who might have not wrestled at Inner Circle, but then doesn't come in with as much steam as you do. At the same time, the longer your Inner Circle match goes and the harder and the more physical it is, the lower your chances. Because at the end, you have to keep in mind, these festival weekends are a marathon. They're not a race. So you have to make sure your body gets from point A to point Z to as best it can. And there's a lot of arguments. I mean, you think about just 16 karat gold, this last 16 karat gold, the finals with Uhura and Manders was essentially whose body was more beaten down. And that plays a big role. So whatever time or whatever sort of match you get into, you want to try to get through as quick as possible, as safely as possible, so you can get to the next one with more energy than your opponent. But at the same time,
I was going to say, Matt, though, what's interesting, though, because, we do regularly talk about that on commentary. And from a non-wrestler's point of view, it sometimes seems crazy to us. Why would you wrestle on Thursday, risk giving yourself being all beat up going into Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3 big nights of action? And I'm always surprised by the number of the guys in the locker room who look at you weird when you suggest that, because they're like, no, it's the opposite. It's like, what's that phrase? Iron sharpens iron, right? To get yourself those reps in. For people who they're not normal human beings. Most of these pro wrestlers, they're the kind of guys who are competing 5-6 days a week, and actually they would rather be in there, keeping their sort of their reflexes up and getting into the zone, as I said, for the weekend, than sitting on the sideline and being like, oh, I better not risk an injury. That's not the mentality.
Why these guys are wrestlers, and we work on the broadcast side of things.
Exactly right.
But Wrestling Focus would like to see Hyperactive and Becca. He wants to see the Academy transformed into a pop party zone.
Nice.
Rob's here for Hyperactive as well. I think they're going to prove to be hugely popular over the weekend. Dan wants Becca to team with M4 to bring back the Y2 cuties. I'm not sure whether you really want to see the Y2 cuties or you just want their entrance. And if it's just the entrance, I completely get it. That tune is a banger. Yannis says the best part of Inner Circle is we get to see all these dream matches we never knew we needed. And absolutely right. And this one's Now, I don't know if we'll see this. I have no idea what's planned. I can try and pitch it to our matchmaker. They probably
if it isn't, it better be. Give me them big boys.
But this is the kind of match that could potentially happen. Manders versus Mecca. Mett, there will be a whole bunch of meat that night.
Hey, I love me my meat. And look, we keep talking about Inner Circle. We don't have to talk about it theoretically. You just look back into the past and you think about Axeman versus Kuro would be an amazing match.
Right.
As well. And
another dream match on paper. And again, potentially this could happen.
But again, think about this.
Wow.
We don't even have to look at the future. We can look at the past. You think back at matches like Fuminori Abe against Masha Slamovich and how incredible that was. Or you think to maybe my favorite Inner Circle match of all time, Ilya Bloom and a certain man known as Inamura against Thomas Shire and the one called Manders, that first bit of the cowboy way that we got to taste. And that match was just meat on meat. That was amazing. So Inner Circle, and especially when you're so close to the action, Sapphire versus Ahura, another freaking
that's a match I didn't know I wanted until I just saw it. That would be interesting. But that's the beauty of Inner Circle. There could be something this amazing, this friend that we never knew we needed. And as Wrestling Focus says, just look at AV. She had that amazing match against Manders and then went on to win Femmes Fatales and the Shotgun title. Not just that weekend. She won Femmes Fatales and the Shotgun title the same day. 4 matches in one day.
And there's something to be said for that as well, right? So there's something to be said for psychologically, if you have a good history at this particular event, which I know is different this year, it's the Pro Wrestling Grand Prix, but this 3-day weekend at the end of September in this building, like Anita Vaughan does, I think that does give you, again, it's small margins, but I think that gives you an advantage headed into a weekend like this.
And we'll talk more about that shortly. But let's take a look at the supporting program this weekend. It was, I think, the surprise hit of last year. And it's not that we were surprised it was a hit. We were surprised at how much of a hit this event was. I mean, Matt, I know this was one of your favorites last year, right?
Oh yeah. Friggin' give me that midnight show. Give me everybody just going crazy. This is fully my vibe. Look, as much as I have to kind of keep my mind organized when I'm doing commentary and keep all the notes in check and everything, I got to shuffle. Extreme Wrestling Party is when I can let the chaos out. You know how much I love when to just let everything happen around me and just take in that whole moment. That's what Extreme Wrestling Party is all about. And the best part is you get these amazing surprises that you just didn't know were possible, but then they just show up right in front of your doorstep and you have to take it in. It's just the chaos, man. I friggin' thrive in that tornado.
Yeah, chaos is probably the best way to describe it. And as Nemo says, I still talk about the Drunken Ambition match from last year.
We all did.
That was something else. And I don't believe we're seeing a follow-up this year. I'm not sure exactly everything we're going to see, but we do know a few of the matches. First of all, talk about chaos. Hyperactive against violence is forever. Dave, please, I'd love to hear your take on this one.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those. We talk about dream matches. I don't know if this is, again, it's not a match that anyone would have thought of necessarily, but it's one of those things where you're like, when you see it, you're like, oh yeah, yes, please. Obviously, violence is forever. We've seen them here before at the World Tag Team Festival a couple of years ago. I lose track of time.
23 years now, yeah.
23 years ago, wow. Yeah, they put an incredible performance there and left it.
Oh yeah, everyone remembers that match against Shiggy and Abe, and that.
Oh my god,
that was
the wound that Kevin Koo had after that was like, whoa, that's mad. So they know exactly what they're walking into in this weekend as a whole. But yeah, I do want to spend a little time talking about Hyperactive. Yeah, I agree. Hey, It's Me is a crazy matchup because Anita Vaughan, I've already talked about with her history in wXw, and actually what she did this time last year in wXw has actually really helped boost her profile in British wrestling as well. You know, everyone who's coming up needs one promotion where they have that moment where all the other promotions start looking at them, and obviously they don't come much bigger than what Anita Vaughan was able to do last year. Sapphire Reed has had a breakout 2025, no doubt about that. Over here, as you may have seen over in Rev Pro, she just recently had a very high profile match against none other than Mercedes Moné. So she's now competing against world class opposition weekly, and these two are their best friends. And also two of the absolute best wrestlers in Europe. So, it's one of those things where I can't picture this match until I see it. So it's very hard to even think what the dynamic of the contest is going to be and how it's going to go. But yeah, I definitely want to see it.
Yeah, I feel like this match is basically the human personification of putting a whole bunch of Mentos into a friggin' cola bottle and just watching it explode.
Yeah, this is going to be crazy. Dave, like you, I have no idea what to expect, but I can't wait to find out what the hell happens. Also coming up, Four Corners of Pain match, Emerson Jane against Matthew Justice. And Dave, again, Emerson Jane, someone you've become more familiar with over the last couple of years, right?
Yeah, Emerson Jane is very experienced in like hardcore style matches. So she's someone who won't be at all daunted coming into this environment, because it is a daunting environment. Remember, it's a lot of fans in one place. It's a midnight event. The beer is flowing. It's all happening. And so you could be if you're new to it and you're not used to that kind of Lions Den environment, particularly with the extreme rules that this kind of thing would have. As much fun as the event is, it is a potential banana skin, to put it mildly, if you're not ready for it. But Emerson Jane will be ready, totally.
Yeah, but she's taking on someone like Matthew Justice, one of the craziest guys on the US scene right now. I believe this is even going to be his at least German, if not European debut. Actually, no, that's going to be the week before in Bad Hersfeld. I apologize. But he's going to have a point to prove here. Like, this will be, this is really his stomping ground. He's so comfortable in these styles of matches. Matt, how do you see this one going?
Hey, I see this one going either way. I think especially with the experience that you said Matthew Justice comes in with, this is a dude that's basically made his name off of it. As soon as Extreme Wrestling Party came out, I think his name was one of the first that was announced. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, hell yeah, this makes sense. This makes a lot of sense. And especially a match like the Four Corners of Pain, that's a match we haven't seen in wXw for a really long time, but it's one of those matches that's absolutely in his alley. And I'll tell you what, I know it's going to be a lot of pain. No pun intended. And I know it's going to be a lot of fun for everybody, probably except for Emerson Jane and Matthew Justice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I don't know. I feel like this is Emerson Jane's idea of a fun Friday night out.
Well, maybe actually, as Wrestling Focus says, Emerson Jane might just be more crazy than Matthew Justice. And I guess there's only one way we're going to find out. We're going to have to watch this match at Extreme Wrestling Party. And talking of things you're going to have to watch, what about this? Dennis Dornig is going up against Super Crazy.
Yeah, I'm frowning not because of the match. I think it'll be an amazing match. I'm still processing what's happened with Dennis Dornig. And what he did to Hector recently is Dennis Cash Dornig is one of those guys. Like, again, whenever I come over for one of these amazing experiences of a 3-day weekend, like historically, if I see him in the hotel bar after the show, he's one of the guys I want to sit next to. You know what I mean? Because he was so much fun and such a great guy to spend time with, and yet I can't understand what has changed in the time he's away. I know long-term injuries can change people. I understand that. I've seen it happen before. But to completely do a 180 like he has in terms of his personality, I don't know what version of him we're gonna see. You know, we're still very early. We still haven't really heard from him since that night at Shortcut to the Top when this all happened. So, yeah, look, you know, Dornig against Super Crazy will be a wild match. It's going to be incredible. I just think there's so many bigger questions about Dornig at the moment that just as someone who I would previously, I'd like to think I would previously have considered myself a friend of his. And you know, and that, yeah, look, there's Nemox 2001 saying whatever Super Crazy does to him, Cash deserves it, right? And I hate to see fans saying that, but I get it. I understand why people think that because Hector's so well loved, and I just think it's a very sad situation that this relationship that Dornig had with the fans is such that people now are sending messages like that because he brought it on himself.
I'm not going to condone what Cash did at all because it's not something you can condone. But I very much understand that his mindset is that he's been maybe the butt of the joke for such a long time. And I'm just trying to understand. I'm trying to rationalize sort of where this is all coming from Cash. And I think this is his outcry to be taken much more seriously. Now, I think in my humble opinion, I don't know. I feel like the fact that we don't know what we're going to get from Dennis Cash Dornig just makes him that much more of a let's say dangerous opponent for Super Crazy, because we know Super Crazy. We've seen Super Crazy for years and years, and Super Crazy is one of the absolute legends of this business. He's done some of the gnarliest stuff. Like I grew up watching
Extreme Luchador. Like we know what he's capable of.
And to be honest, I'll tell you this: I think whatever kind of Dennis Cash Dornig walks into that match, it's a Dennis Cash Dornig that's much more fit and ready to face off against somebody like Super Crazy. As long as he can stay focused on Super Crazy, I think Super Crazy is going to get a match that I don't know if he's reckoned for it, if he's done any kind of research on Dennis Cash Dornig. It's going to be wild. And it's going to be unexpected, is what I'm going to say.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll talk more about Dornig as we go here. I'm sure, but it like I would take exception to the idea that he was the butt of the joke. You know what I mean? I know that's I'm not criticizing you, Mett, because that is 100% seems to be how he feels. But he was in on the joke, and I mean, like that was the greatness of the relationship he had with the wXw fan base was that everyone knew he was a little bit eccentric, a little bit off the wall, and yet he embraced that, we embraced that, and it made for something really beautiful for a long time. And that's gone now, and that's his fault, and he's going to have to live with that.
Absolutely. And Mate, you'd say crazy, wild, unexpected. Fans bring the weapons, and I cannot even begin to imagine what kinds of weapons our fans are dreaming up for Mike Schwartz and Iceman to use against each other at Extreme Wrestling Party. Like,
I'm not even going to try to imagine. I'm just going to, this is probably the match where I'm most just going to take my hands off the wheel, let Destiny take it over, and I'm going to just experience it. I'm going to just enjoy it.
Is that not always how you drive?
Oh, no, that is basically how I drive. Either my feet are on the wheel or nothing's on the wheel. But basically, that's exactly my mantra for this match right here. I don't want to imagine. I don't want to think. I don't want to prognose. I don't want to expect, debate, and analyze. I just want to let the fans do what they do best. I want to let Mr. Schwartz and Mr. Iceman do what they do best. And I'm just going to be there for the ride.
If your feet are on the wheel, how do you go forward?
Please, Dave, no, don't. Please, no.
Cinder blocks. They're actually.
What happened to the pedals? But no, I agree. I agree. It's going to be a crazy match. I mean, I'm not going to sit back and take my hands off the wheel, whatever you said. I'm going to hide under a table. Is what I'm going to do. Because,
by the way,
you want to be careful, Dave. They might end up using that table.
Oh yeah, that's a bad idea.
Oh, by the way,
what I'm going to do.
If any of you guys got any ideas, if you guys bring cinder blocks to this match, just don't take the ones in my car.
Oh, I see, because you need them for the pedals.
Yeah.
Wow.
Whose idea was this? Whose idea was it to let the fans bring
Probably mine.
Because it seems like a health and safety nightmare, if I'm honest.
It is definitely terrifying. Yeah, I'm not sure what kind of weapons we're going to bring here. But at the same time, you know, let's get real. These two are two tough guys who are experienced in hardcore matches. But Iceman brings a lot more experience here. I'm not sure if this is really going to work out well for Mikey.
No, and also in this match, with the fans bringing the weapons, you're losing that element of control, right? Because normally, you know, even the most experienced hardcore wrestlers, as you know, they'll hide all their toys under the ring earlier in the day. They'll know exactly what they're planning to use, what they're planning to inflict on their opponent. You can't plan. God knows what these people are going to bring. Right, but they're not going to be bringing weapons they brought themselves, and that adds an element of uncertainty here that I think is dangerous unless you are very, very experienced and very confident going into this kind of match.
Yeah, 100%. It's going to be wild. It's going to be crazy. It's all happening at Extreme Wrestling Party, and you are not going to want to miss this. Also, We Love Wrestling 71 happening Sunday afternoon. Again, we don't know anything about this show. We have nothing announced. And I assume for the most part, we'll be seeing the guys and the girls who are sadly no longer in the tournaments going up against some of the guys and girls who are looking to try and make a name for themselves this weekend. It's always a fun show. We Love Wrestling on the Sunday afternoon of these festival weekends. That's going to be awesome. Do not miss that. But let's focus now on some of the other stuff we have coming up in this festival. That's just a few of the shows. Let's get to the real meat of this matter, if you will. Let's look at the König der Catcher, part of the Pro Wrestling Grand Prix, the first of our 3 tournaments. And these are the 2 groups. These are the 8 names. Group A, led by the European champion Marius Alani, alongside Ilya Bloom, LeBron Cazone, and Bobby Guns. And Group B, led by our shotgun champion Hector Invictus, Adam Priest is in there, Ahura, and Joseph Fennick Jr. Wow. Mett, can I get your impressions on these 8 individuals?
I mean, you know what I said earlier about the weekend being a marathon and not a race? I think in this tournament more than any, that is the case, because you're going to be facing off against basically everybody in your group. And then in the end, you're going to be facing the top dog from the other group. So essentially, you can game plan and prepare for this tournament as best you can, because you know you're facing off against everybody in your group. It's not a matter of, you know what, I'm Ilya Bloom, let me prepare because I feel like I'm going to be facing Marius Alani. It's, you know, you're facing Marius Alani. You know you're facing LeBron Cazone, sorry. And you know you're facing Bobby Guns. So it's being able to strategize for every one of your opponents, try to find the weaknesses and the strength and balancing all that stuff out. and in the end, trying to somehow prognose who's coming out of the next, the other group. So I think this is basically a mental chess game, and I think, especially considering this is the very first ever König der Catcher, of course, named basically commemorizing the late great Carsten Beck. So there's that much more prestige and such a great, incredible importance to this tournament in my eyes. Because if I were a wrestler, I would absolutely want to be the very first ever König der Catcher winner.
And as Wrestling Focus says here, LeBron Cazone will gain a lot more fans this festival. Most don't know him yet, but they will. And look, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I know really nothing about this guy, but everyone I spoke to who knows him says, wow, he is going to make an impact, but he's very much a wild card in this tournament. Dave, what do you make of that? What do you make of him being the wild card here? And how dangerous could that be for his opponents in Group A?
Yeah, I will say about Group A, first of all, that I saw the list for Group A before I saw the list for Group B. And I immediately thought, like people always say in tournaments, like football tournaments or wrestling tournaments or anything, that there's always a group of death, right? A group that's going to be very hard to get out of, because all four or however many in that group are incredible. And I saw it before the late change. And I was like, oh, okay, that's a wild group. Now you've got LeBron Cazone in there, who I do know by reputation. I've never seen him wrestle, but I've heard incredible things about him, and obviously wXw matchmakers have as well. Otherwise, they wouldn't be bringing him over. He kind of reminds me actually of the reputation that Adam Priest came with when he first came to wXw a couple of years ago, right? In the sense that he's a guy who we kind of heard of, that he was sort of big on the US indie scene, and that he was someone to be reckoned with. And it's only when you see them in person that you're like, oh, okay, I get it. This guy is something. And I feel like, that unknown element that you're referring to, that wild card part of his entry into Group A, in some ways makes it all the more dangerous, because I don't know what Alani or Bloom or Guns know about LeBron Cazone, but that he can use that to his advantage. And again, I'm sorry to harp on it, but where tiny differences can be the difference between victory and failure. Like, to be an unknown quantity is a major advantage that Cazone has coming in here.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we take a look at these matches now, we see what's happening show by show basis, and wow, like there is going to be some battles going on here. But again, as you say, Dave, like they're going to have to pace themselves. We know so little about Cazone. How's he going to play out in this tournament? Oh, this is going to be exciting. Like, I'm already excited. And as you can see, show one from Group A, we have Alani and Bobby. We've seen those two battle many times. They've got a lot of history here. And then at the same time, Ilya Bloom and Cazone there. I mean, try and pick me some winners. Like, I'm not sure I can pick some winners. The more I look at this, the more I confuse myself.
We're still talking about Block A, yeah?
Yeah, just Block A for now, Jesus. Like, let's try and keep it simple.
Right, yeah. I mean, look, Ilya Bloom, we talked about Cazone. Ilya Bloom, we all know, has been absolutely remarkable. And he's going to, sooner or later, he is going to be the Unified World Wrestling Champion. No doubt. I have no doubt about that. I know he must feel like sometimes it feels like that, he's always reaching for that and it's a million miles away. It will come, because he is that good. Bobby Guns, obviously, we know the history of it, with his history of winning everything in wXw. Fascinating to me to see this rivalry reignited between Guns and Alani, because I had the pleasure of commentating on a lot of Marius Alani's matches when he was Unified World Wrestling Champion during that COVID era of 2021. No fans, and he was able to build up that winning streak and was one of the most dominant champions we've ever seen. So he terrifies me. I avoid him like the plague in the locker room, because he looks like he could beat you up just by looking at you. But like he's the kind of guy that I'm delighted to see back in wXw, because anyone who's been a fan for a while, we know how good those matches were against Bobby Guns and others back then. The history Alani has here is stunning. Not surprised at all to see he's already won championship gold as soon as he's returned. And it's fascinating then to see not only those rematches, the likes of Alani against Guns, but to see Alani against some of the new up-and-coming talent, Elia Bloom being perhaps the best example of an up-and-coming talent over the past couple of years.
It'll be a first-time ever match as well.
Yeah, and it's on. It's the third of the 3 group matches, right? It's on show 4, so it's the last one. And depending on the position that those two are in following their first 2 matches, it could be decisive because one or both of those could still be in contention at that point to top the group. And so not only is it a first time ever, but it's the first time ever because of how it's ended up being positioned in the schedule where it could be decisive. So the stakes are high as well. That to me is a sleeper for match of the weekend.
You know what? I think that is going to be such an interesting dynamic to just see how you go through, because again, like I said, this is an event where show 1 is going to dictate how you're going to be feeling going into show 2, into show 3 and 4, right? So especially and I love that you mentioned Guns and Alani, because recently they faced each other for that European Championship at Broken Rules in Frankfurt. I think especially that first match for Guns coming into the tournament and facing Alani first, and that's going to be such a make or break moment maybe for Bobby Guns, who is just constantly striving to get back into those winning ways, who it seems like Alani just constantly has his number. If Guns can overcome Alani in show 1, I'll be honest with you, I see Guns going all the way and becoming the winner of König der Catcher.
Wow. Okay. Bold statement. So let's look a little bit at Group B, though. I feel like we haven't paid them anywhere near much love as they should have right now. And like I look here and I see Adam Priest and Ahura show 1, and instantly I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be something special with these two guys, these two egos colliding. Show 1.
Yeah. I mean, I think we had so much to talk about Group A, but Group B is not it. When I saw Group B, like I was like, okay, there's 2 groups of death. It's that situation.
It's not an easy tournament for anyone in it.
No, and Mett's point is a good one. The point he just made about Group A also applies to Group B, which is show 1 is vital, right? You've only got 3 opportunities. I know I was saying it's different in the other tournaments on this weekend that are single elimination. You literally only have 1 chance. If you were to lose on night 1, technically, yes, you could still recover if other results go your way on the other two nights. But that is then a mountain to climb. So you really, really need to get off to a winning start. If you're coming off, let's say if you were, I don't know, if you're Adam Priest and Ahura's beaten you, night 1, you then got to go into night 2 against Joseph Fenech Jr. with all that extra pressure on your shoulders, because if you don't win that one, you're definitely not winning the group. So like every match, even though it's a group, it's a small group. So it almost is like a single elimination. And I feel like, you just look at those 2 matches in Group B on the first night. I mean, Ahura and Priest, first of all, it will be wildly entertaining because they are 2 larger than life personalities, which I'm very much looking forward to seeing those 2 clash. Ahura is similar to Bloom in the year that he's had. He's not similar to anyone in any other respect, but he's had that kind of year where he could have been champion. He's been reaching to be that guy at the top and has very nearly got there. So he's got a point to prove as well. Adam Priest just goes from strength to strength every time we see him. As I say, the first time I met him was that was probably 3 years ago when he first came over, and that was even then he was super impressive. But now he's risen right to the top of the US indie scene. He's appearing on AEW now. He's appearing on some of the biggest wrestling companies in the world. So I think Ahura and Priest is a stunning opportunity. I think Fenech Jr. against Hector Invictus on night 1 is interesting as well. I say interesting
we've
because
seen these 2 recently as well, like battle for the shotgun title. So
I mean, before Hector captured that title, so it's an opportunity for Fenech not just to go through the tournament and win it, but if he can get a win against Hector, then that makes an argument for him to maybe be like, hey, you know what?
And I think Mett's frozen.
We lost him.
So,
what point was he going to make? I don't know.
Well, I think the point he was trying to make is that obviously during those shotgun title matches, Forwerk and High Performer Limited really were the ones that cost Fennec the title. Not always actively working against him, but they were at times actively working against him. So, maybe he wants to prove that actually when I get rid of these idiots, I can win that title back. I should be champion again. And I'm sure he's going to be keen to prove that point there on show 1. And as we mentioned, build momentum for that big weekend ahead.
And look, and I know Hector Invictus is the shotgun champion. I know he's had a great year as well. But to go back to it, he is just coming off the shock, not just physical shock, but the mental shock of what happened with Dennis Cashdorny. And I do think if you're, he may well be able to get that out of his mind and settle into the tournament and get into that rhythm by night 2 or night 3. But if I was in Group B and I was thinking, right, I've got to face Hector Invictus, tough challenge on any given day, but when do I want to do it? I would think being the first person he has to face in a high-profile match after everything that happened, I think that's massive. To be on that stage.
That's a phenomenal point there, Dave. Okay, so question to you, question to everyone in the chat. Pick your winners. Who's winning Group A? Who's winning Group B? What is our final going to be?
Good luck.
And it's such a tough one because, you look at both groups, they're both so strong. I
would have, Group A. Oh, man. It's on some level, it almost seems insulting to look past Ilya Bloom, given the year he's had. I can't pick anyone who's a wild card, but because I just don't know.
Yeah.
But look, I've seen how good Alani can be at his best. I've seen how good Bobby Guns can be at his best as well. But Alani's riding a wave of momentum as European champion. I feel like if you're one of those 2 champions, either Alani or Invictus, you feel like you're kind of the standard bearer of that group.
Absolutely. And I think that was absolutely our matchmaker's intention in having these 2 lead the groups, and rightfully so.
Yeah, and I feel like that will be a badge he wears with pride. And I just feel like everything I've ever seen about Marius Alani, I would never bet against him, even against Bobby Guns and even against Ilya Bloom. So I think if I had to pick, and I would very much prefer to sit on the fence on this, but I guess if I had to, twist my arm, I had to pick Marius Alani.
And in Group B?
Group B, well, let's say, and I hope this is wrong, but let's say that Hector Invictus does have a rough first night. That could set him on a rough course. So, again, these are ifs and buts, but if I'm having to pick, maybe we say that that's one tiny reason that you could separate him out. I think Ahura, given that's that same Ilya Bloom effect of the year he's had. I wonder whether he might be unstoppable because he's got that chip on his shoulder. Until he does make it to the top, then he's going to be continuously.
Nothing's going to stop him.
Exactly right.
And looking at our comments here, like Ilya versus Ahura in the finals, we have second in this. Bloom versus Ahura. Dan's going slightly different way. Guns winning Group A, but Ahura winning Group B again. Ahura versus Bloom. Ahura versus Bloom. Ahura. Strong favorite here. And
all the comments there.
I totally get why it's hard to bet against him with the year he's had. He's been unable to, look, he was unable to win Carrot. He was unable to beat Manders for the unified title. But as you say, Dave, like Ahura is on a mission and he is not going to stop. Legend here goes slightly different, and he's picking Bloom versus Hector. And that's a match I would like to see. Again, I'm not sure we've had that match happen previously, but I would like to see that. And they've only seen priests. They don't think they can make a valid guess, but it's half the fun. Make a guess. Wild stab in the dark.
Don't worry. We can't make valid guesses either.
Don't be shy about it. Like, I'm pretty sure we're well off mark here.
But it's interesting, Mark, just quickly though, sorry, to see it doesn't surprise me that the vast majority of those comments were, Bloom winning Block A and Ahura winning Block B. I'm a little bit surprised by the scale of it, particularly in Ahura's case. Almost everyone said Ahura. But that does speak again to just how remarkable those two guys' 2025 has been.
Yeah.
But of all their many achievements, both of them this year, if to win one of these two groups, which is going to be incredibly difficult, and then to go on the Sunday and to win the whole thing, that would rank right up there with the best things they've ever done. And remember, there's only one person who ever gets to be the first winner of this tournament. Hopefully we go on doing this tournament for many years to come.
That is bragging rights and a half.
100%.
And like, when I look at these groups, I'm really, really torn. I feel like I want to root for Bloom, but I think, the points you make about Alani are just far too strong, far too overwhelming. And a guy like that, as dangerous as he is, I think he's going to the final, no doubt. Block B, and again, I don't want to bet against Hector. We've seen the run he's been on as shotgun champion. I almost feel like Priest is going to take this. Like, we've seen the way he fights. We've seen the way he thinks. And he's a lot smarter than people give him credit for. And I think as calculated as he is, he's got a strategy coming into this against the three opponents. And I feel like somehow Adam Priest is going to find a way to overcome all three and get into that final. And then, Priest versus Alani. I want to see it. I have no idea how that's going to go. That would be something.
Yeah. And that's one of the great things about this whole tournament, even beyond the matchups we're already guaranteed to see because of the groups. Like, all those different permutations of what that final could be, they're all of them so like mouth-watering in so many different ways as potential matchups that there's almost no way that whatever that final is on Sunday, that it is going to be absolutely stunning, and it's such a memorable way to have the first incarnation of this tournament.
Yeah, it's going to be phenomenal. I cannot wait. At the same time, we've got the World Tag Team Tournament, and this is going to be big, a single elimination tournament, as we've done the last couple of years. However, this time, the tag titles will not be on the line through every round of the tournament. But this is how we're kicking things off. The Welsh Dragons against the Japanese Dragons. Dragon Dyer and Dragon Kid against the Greedy Souls. And look, I'm going to be honest, I don't want to bet against the Greedy Souls. I love these boys. I've known these guys for a long time, but Dragon Dyer and Dragon Kid, Dave, where the hell do you put your money in a match like this?
First of all, can we just take a moment to appreciate the facial expression of Brendan White in this graphic? Because I'm struggling not to laugh out loud, but that is a facial expression you regularly see on his face, because these are two angry men from the Welsh Valleys. Brendan White and Danny Jones, they have been and continue to be one of the most dominant tag teams in the UK, and they're kind of a throwback as well. They're like one of those old school heavyweight tag teams who will just beat you up, and they'll enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
And again, their chance to come over to Germany and to beat up not just one but three teams over a 3-day period. They all love it.
Absolutely. And look, we've only seen them like here once before, and I believe that was January 23. And like they impressed hugely. A lot of fans have been crying out to see these guys back, and I'm sure they're going to make a huge impression when it comes to battling the team from Dragon Gate in Japan.
Mm-hmm. And again, it's one of those matches we talked about with Hyperactive and Violence is Forever earlier on. One of those matches, two very, very different teams who are gonna clash here. Clash of styles. It's hard for me to say because I know one of these two teams much better than the other one, but I will tell you that I've seen Greedy Souls face opponents of every shape and size, and they're one of those teams who are just able to adapt and they have a different strategy against every kind of team, and they generally find a way. That may be my UK bias shining through because this is the only British team in the tournament. But I've seen enough of Greedy Souls that I don't ever bet against them.
Yeah, and as Wrestling Focus says, Danny Jones almost won Ambition. He is an incredible wrestler, and he doesn't see that there's a way that these two are going to let the Dragons win. I
agree.
And I see we have Moberg back. What happened? You're hacking not quite up to scratch?
I might have just DDoSed myself accidentally. Or maybe my Wi-Fi decided it was too much excitement. My Wi-Fi is too excited over the wrestling weekend here at wXw. Understandably so. And I see you guys have gone on without me, understandably. Holy moly, I'm excited for this match. This is going to be good. Sorry.
Okay, well, look, keep that excitement up. And Mett, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this match. We've seen these teams go at it recently. KXS and The Grind. Fast-Time Mudo, Axel Tischer against Nick Schreier, Lawrence Roman. What do you think?
Oh, we've seen KXS and The Grind go head-to-head before, like as you mentioned it. And that level of sort of history, especially when you're going into the quarterfinals, the first match against somebody that you have a lot of history with, whether it be competing against each other over the last period of time, or of course the fact that Axel Tischer is the trainer and sort of the mentor and the coach and the big figure for The Grind over all this time. Just now a complete difference in sort of the basic understanding and the basic sort of approach to professional wrestling. This is going to be such an incredible match because all four men are incredibly capable. All four men know just how to tear you down at a molecular level. It's just the way that they go at it is so incredibly different. I think this match is so. I find matches where the opponents are super familiar with each other so interesting, because when you know exactly how your opponent operates and you know how your partner operates, it's those small margins that end up making the biggest difference. So
absolutely. And yeah, like you say, this feels like a finals match. The match I had in Hamburg got standing ovations during the match. But I feel like realistically, all four of our first round matches here feel like they could potentially have been the final had the opening rounds been drawn differently. I mean, we take a look at the first match of show 2 here. Violence is Forever against the Gulyash brothers. And the Gulyash brothers, firm favorites. We haven't seen them in a while, but two tough, young, angry men who have been working hard, who are ready to come back to WXW and make an impression. Dave Bradshaw, what do you think their chances like when they go up against a team like Violence is Forever?
Yeah, I've been following the Gulyash brothers' careers for several years now, since they were just breaking through on the Hungarian scene, and they're big boys, right? They're very strong, very powerful. And they're a team who have been talked about, certainly in Hungary, for a long time as, these are our big hope to be the guys who take over European wrestling, to be the next Arrows of Hungary, who were obviously
take over the gap that's been left since they split. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
This could be their moment.
I do think there's obviously that weight of expectation there. So when you have been told that, oh yeah, you're the chosen ones, right? You're going to be the guys who you are the next Arrows of Hungary. Well, there will never be another Arrows of Hungary because they're unique. These guys have to carve their own path. Hopefully, they can carve a career that's every bit as successful as the Arrows. But they will know going into this that it's one of those weekends where they have the opportunity to fulfill that prophecy. But that could backfire if it ends up with them being under so much pressure when they go in there against a team as dangerous as Violence is Forever.
Yeah. Fair. And as Wrestling Focus says, the Gulash boy improved a lot, but he can't bet against Violence is Forever. Whereas Dan there, mark my words, this is the show stealer. I think he's got the potential to be just that. Matt, what's your thoughts? Are you excited for this one?
I'm super excited for this one, especially because, like you said, Dave, the Gulyash brothers have been sort of, especially in Hungary, and I've followed a lot of their career in Hungary as well, and these guys have had incredible success there as well. They've had success in Austria. They're just always that one step shy, and I wonder if, especially with this match here against somebody like Violence is Forever, if the Gulyash brothers overcome Violence is Forever here, that's not a step. That's a leap. That's a jump. That's a jetpack that you put on your back, and that can take you over oceans and continents. So I'll say this: I think Gulyash brothers have a gigantic opportunity, but Violence is Forever has even all the way back in 2022, with all the excitement of them being part of World Tag Team Festival then, and the matches that they delivered, especially against we still talk about that headbutt with Abe and Kevin Koo. We know just how tough Violence is Forever are. So this match is going to be just my favorite kind of match. Two teams that are just going at each other, beating the living piss out of each other. And it's just the toughest team that's coming out.
Yeah. And as Nemo says, I saw them 2 years ago, could tell they have something. And yeah, I think it was 2 years ago on our Eastern tour, we saw Gurias Jr. Have an incredibly physical match with former unified champion Shigehiro Irie. And, you know, he come up short. He was against Shiggy. Of course he was going to come up short then, but the improvement he's made since, the improvement these have made as a team, Violence Prevail are not going to get an easy win here if they get the win at all. That is for sure. But our final first round match, and we saw things begin to heat up between these four men during the shortcut to the top match. Matt, please give me your thoughts on these four.
I'm going to tell you this, and I'm going to be very, very candid and honest. I'm excited for the entirety of World Tag Team Tournament. I love tag team wrestling. I'm a gigantic fan of it. I think this match is the one when it comes to the first round that I'm most excited for. Partly because we got a teaser of it at Shortcut to the Top. And I'll be honest, I'll say in that interaction, I feel like the Hype Dogs got the leg up on the World Tag Team Champions. I feel like in that exchange, the Hype Dogs came out, let's say, on a better looking a lot better.
Well, yeah, absolutely. The Hype Dogs managed to eliminate both Robert Dreisker and Mark Empire during that match.
And they managed to take Kuro out, but Mecca was the lone man standing.
He was in there for a while after as well. Like he was impressive. As Yanis says here, he was incredibly impressive. Bruno says this will be fun. There's a sign for the Hype Dogs. Yeah, like
look, the Planet Gojira are an incredibly dominant tag team and an incredibly physical tag team, and I think. The thing is, I've been following French wrestling. I've been keeping tabs on it. I've been keeping my eyes on it. And Kuro and Mecca are two guys that are constantly hailed as the next people up. We know Aigle Blanc will be moving on, and there's going to be a void there with Aigle Blanc leaving France. That I'll be honest with you, I can see either Kuro or Mecca or even both of them filling it. So if as individuals, they're just so incredibly talented. When they come together as a team, what they can reach is unbelievable. And honestly, this might come as a bit of a surprise, as a bit of a shock. And this is, let's say, my first prediction for this weekend. I feel like in this quarterfinal match, Planet Gojira might just be crashing down. And I think Planet Gojira might get a nice warm welcome to the doghouse.
Wow, that is probably the boldest prediction we've had so far on tonight's stream. Dave, do you concur?
No, but I do think I'll say this.
Moving swiftly on.
I think it's it's no disrespect whatsoever to Mecca and Kuro. I just don't think you. Again, it's just another one of those teams you don't really bet against, right? In Planet Gojira, because they're the tag team champion. I know that the tag titles aren't on the line here, but any team who is able to knock down the tag team champions in this tournament will be surely in line for a shot at them again with the titles on the line. I think it's a situation where if the Hype Dogs if they can win this quarterfinal, then I think they win the whole thing. Because I think, you much like we were just saying about the Gouliash brothers, to get that rocket pack strapped onto your back by beating the tag team champions and such a dominant group of pair of tag team champions as well in the opening round, I think momentum's a real thing, and I think that could take them a long way. I agree with Mett though as well about their position in not just in French wrestling actually, but in European wrestling. Mecca I don't know very well, I'll have to say, but I've seen a little bit of him, and everything I've seen, I'm like, okay, yeah, this guy's the real deal. Kuro I've been commentating on for various promotions across Europe for a while now, and I would put Kuro on that same list as Ilya Bloom and Ahura and very few others. Probably you could count them on one hand of those on a short list to be the next big European wrestling star. I rate Kuro that highly, and he's clearly got the right tag team partner just in terms of physicality and size as well to face Planet Gojira. So I do think it's close. Again, I mean no disrespect when I say no, but that's only because I just don't. I think it's a big ask for any team to beat the reigning tag team champions in the quarterfinals. But yeah, if they do, they'll win it.
I fully get that. Like I said, it's my gut instinct. It's off of the experience of what I've seen in the last months and at Shortcut to the Top. And I think, you know what? If any surprise is going to happen, I feel like this might be the one I'd put my money on the most.
I mean, you've backed down now, mate. You said, oh, they were definitely winning it. But I'm with Dave. I think if Hype Dogs can do this, because it is a big ask, then maybe they got a chance to go all the way. But they've got the biggest of challenges in the first round of the World Tag Team Tournament. That's going to be an incredible first round, and we'll see how that plays out. But at the same time, we have the third tournament of the weekend. No longer its own show. We're now spreading this out. The women are getting equal footing across the whole weekend with the other two tournaments. 8 incredible wrestlers. And we're going to kick it off talking about this very first quarterfinal match happening. Show 1, Layla Hirsch, Baby Allison. How the hell can you pick a winner here, guys?
I'm going to let Mett try because I don't want to.
I mean, look, Baby Allison has also said in the vlog that this will be the year of the witch. I think that's being tested very, very heavily in this first round against somebody like Layla Hirsch, who is absolutely at that level where you could put her name in with any other woman on this planet when it comes to being in a wrestling ring. I think Baby Allison's there we go. Femmes Fatales is absolutely stacked. I cannot wait. And I cannot wait for the action there to start. But look, I think if Baby Allison, it's again kind of a similar situation to the Hype Dogs, and a similar situation to what we said about the König der Catcher, the first round. If you can get off that first win and you can get that momentum, I think Baby Allison, if she can tackle Layla Hirsch and beat Layla Hirsch, the year of the witch would be inevitable.
But can she, Matt? I was enjoying the boldness of your predictions, and that feels like another one that's just ifs. Give us a winner.
This is definitely one of those ifs. This is not one where I'm breaking my bank, especially since my bank account is looking really bad right now. But that's the thing. I think it's a big if. But if Baby Allison beats Layla Hirsch, I see Baby Allison making it at the very least to the finals.
Okay.
There we go. Bold prediction. What about this one? 2 returns here, Becca and Orshi. We haven't seen either in a number of years. Dave, who the hell would you pick to win this one?
Oof. Yeah, it's difficult. But again, both returning after a good deal of time away. Both have made no secret of the fact that winning Femme Fatale is something that's very much on their to-do list and is very much within their capability as well. I know we talked about, I'm going to contradict my own point from earlier, because I know I said about how, iron sharpens iron, and there's something to be said for, wrestlers maybe think that us as commentators or observers or fans or whatever, that we over-egg the thing about how your wear and tear from previous matches on the weekend affect you in the future rounds. This one I can see being very, very close. I can see it running long, because I think it could go quite a while because they're so evenly matched. And it's going to be very hard hitting. So I do worry whoever gets out of this will not be at 100% going into the semi-final. That is as close as I'm going to come to making any kind of prediction. But I will say that we'll see. Hopefully, I'm sure the strategy for anyone in these quarterfinals is to try and win as quickly as you can. I worry that that's not possible in this match, and that therefore there could be consequences deeper into the tournament for whoever wins.
Matt, what's your prediction?
I 100% agree. Now, look, Becca has been, I've been following Becca, and she's been doing an incredible job over stateside. She's been making a hell of a name for her, competing against anybody and everybody, and looking good doing it, whether in victory or defeat. Orshi, of course, has been on hiatus for a while, but I've been following her career in Hungary. I've seen the matches she's had there. She's gone to the States, and she's had a few matches there. So far, she's putting on performance after performance in Hungary, and she has made the mission statement. She said, I'm not here to play. I'm here to compete, to become the best in Europe. There's no other way to do this. This is absolutely that first big step on that goal, and a big mission statement. So, obviously a lot of us are very, very happy to see Orshi back. especially back in Germany. You go back to her battles against Ambus and against Robert Dreisker. But at the same time, I feel like we see there from Wrestling Focus, Becca is very much somebody who's going to have a ton of backing. I think this is the match where it's going to go down to the wire, where I'm definitely going to agree with Dave here with whoever comes out of this match. Good luck on that next one, because you guys, you're going to have a fight coming up for you. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think if anything for me, it's Aushi's power that is just going to nip it for her. Like that's kind of how I see this going. I think Becca's going to have trouble keeping her down there. As Foxy Fox says, looking forward to Femmes Fatales, and I am looking forward to this one. Sapphire Reed against Stephanie Mays. And I mean, we all know here in wXw exactly how good Stephanie Mays is. For many of us in Germany, for many of our fans, Sapphire Reed is something of an unknown. But as we already said, Dave, like a phenomenal wrestler, wrestling world-class opponents. Oh, like, could you pick a winner between these two?
Every, and again, no disrespect to Stephanie Mays, every fiber of my being, just as with my UK bias, wants to say Sapphire Reed, because I just feel like she's had such a year, such an the attitude she has, the work ethic, everything I know about Sapphire Reed I found impressive, and she has the potential to be, a generational talent. I think across Europe, potential is it's unrealized potential for now. And as I'm saying, she's faced world class opponents. As I said in that match against Mercedes Monet, great performance, was on the losing end. But she's still young, she's still learning, and that's what may be scariest about Sapphire Reed. If you're one of her opponents, is that she's got, hopefully if she remains injury free, she's got 2 decades ahead of her still. She's still in her early 20s. So, and
here's the thing, looking at our comments, like the people are 100% behind Sapphire here,
but here's the thing, Mark. I'm not sure, and it pains me to say it, I'm not sure I agree, because I think I just know how effective Stephanie Mays is here. If this was in the UK and it wasn't in front of a wXw audience, I would be fully on board with those comments. I would make Sapphire Reed the strong favorite. But there is something about Stephanie Mays in wXw. She's been breaking boundaries for a very long time here. Sapphire Reed is a relative newcomer, and I just wonder whether this could be one of those moments where that benefit of that extra experience in front of this audience in this country of Germany could be a deciding factor in, again, what is a very close match.
I think what's also going to be a deciding factor, as we already spoke about, Sapphire Reed's in that tag team match at Extreme Wrestling Party. And I think if she's still feeling the pain from that, because that's happening starting at midnight the night before. This show starting at 2 p.m. the following day. Sapphire Reed could be on as little as 12 hours rest between matches. That could be where Stephanie Mays is able to take that advantage to win this one. And much the same can be said for Anita Vaughn, who's against Emerson Jane. But I suppose AV has the bonus here of Emerson's going to be in that Four Corners of Pain match. They're both going for an Extreme Wrestling Party. This could be a real slog here between these two, because not only are they going to be battling out on the Friday night, they're both going to want to make this match. They're both going to want to win. They're both going to want to do whatever it takes to make an impression and win Femme Fatale.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. And I think this is a case of, certainly within the world of British wrestling, this is a case of, experience versus youth. Emerson Jane's been around the scene for a long time, has that chip on her shoulder, which I think is a healthy chip on her shoulder. Sometimes I think chips on shoulders can become toxic for the person who's carrying it. But I do feel like in Emerson Jane's case, she's felt like she doesn't get sometimes listed in those sort of upper echelons of the if you want to name the top half dozen women's wrestlers who've carried the UK scene over this past period of time, that maybe she doesn't always get included in that list, and maybe she should. And so I think that chip that she has on her shoulder helps drive her, and she will relish the opportunity to take down at the very first hurdle the woman who had such a remarkable Femme Fatale tournament last year. So Emerson Jane certainly motivated to try and win the whole thing. But in a way, it's a similar situation to what I just said about Stephanie Mays, because WXW fans have taken Anita Vaughn to their hearts. I mean, that is an understatement. And so it's a home fixture, to use football terminology for Anita Vaughn. I think it will be a hostile crowd towards Emerson Jane, and Emerson Jane doesn't react well to hostile crowds. She'll give it back to them, and so that crowd will become more hostile because it will be this kind of this vicious circle. And I think that maybe makes the difference for Vaughn.
Yeah, as Dan says, all we want to see is AV. We know the fans here love her. And look, I'm not going to lie, I'm good friends with AV. We were speaking earlier, and, she's telling me she wants to win this back-to-back. She wants to be the Femme Fatale winner, 24 and 25. But for all the reasons you just mentioned, Dave, huge ask ahead of her here in this quarterfinal matchup. Mett, any additional thoughts here?
Well, you talked so much about that chip on your shoulder and everything, and like I fully get it. Emerson Jane is somebody that, in my opinion, doesn't get the recognition that she deserves in the UK scene, and I think bitterness and sort of seeing stuff like that, especially considering the fact that you talked about how much AV has grown in the past period and how she's getting her flowers and how she's really growing, and not just in that UK scene, but here at WXW. So I think there's a dichotomy here to be seen. Of course, 1 year ago here, right at this event, this was what Femme Fatale is what led to AV making history, winning those 4 matches and becoming the first ever female shotgun champion in history. So AV is going to have that familiarity of it's Oberhausen, it's Turbine Halle 1. It's the same event that I made history, that kicked off that history making day for me, not just even night. Emerson Jane, somebody who very much could be leapfrogged or could get leapfrogged by Anita Vaughn, as somebody who maybe even jumps her on that list of those big names here in the UK that Emerson Jane maybe doesn't even get that sort of that praise or that credit that she deserves. I think that does something in a competitor's head where you think, you know what, I'm going to come into your house here in Germany. I'm going to come into the event that made you last year, and by crook or by hook, I am going to beat you in this hostile crowd. And that's not a chip on your shoulder. That fuels you that much more. And I think that could take Emerson Jane over the hump. How much she wants it and how bitter she is and how ready she is to take down Anita Vaughn here in Germany, I think that's going to be the biggest factor in this match.
Yeah, and I think making the great point there, like AV is the one to be, and Emerson Jane with that chip on her shoulder, if anyone's going to do it, she could be the one. But also the huge announcement everyone saw yesterday, Show 2, Saturday afternoon. Wow. When I first heard about this, I was like, really, this is happening? Let me announce this on the stream, please. And they said, no, we're announcing it as soon as we can. We want to shout about this to the world. And I was a little disappointed, but I get it because this is such huge news. I wish I was the one to break it, but we're going to see these two in action. Show 2. Dave, I know you are familiar with these gentlemen. Please, for anyone who isn't, tell them exactly why they should be there at Show 2 to see these in action.
Well, Los Tranquilos are legendary. Obviously, Naito has headlined the Tokyo Dome. He's done everything that there is to do in that lengthy New Japan career that's only recently come to an end. And I know that Mark's so excited by it that he's just left the stream. But
in his pants right now.
Yeah, they're iconic, I feel like, and I think that it's to see Naito and Bushi as well, in both of them in person, is stunning. I had the chance to do that recently here in the UK. I look forward to having a second chance to do it and to seeing how a German crowd reacts to seeing them. But if Naito's able to hit that Destino and to secure the victory against whoever they're facing, then it's the roof will come off, because that's what happens wherever these guys go. Interestingly, though, we talked about how we can't break the news of who they're facing. I would like to know. We couldn't break the news that they're appearing. I would like to know who they're facing. And I think Mark I like to think that Mark is just gathering a scoop on that piece of information right now, and that's why he's disappeared off the stream. But Mett, you're an investigative journalist. Can you tell me who are these guys going to be up against on Show 2?
My man, I've got every single feeler I have going after this, trying to track down the matchmaker. I'm just trying to put any bug I can in any room that I know any possibly even halfway important conversation is happening. I still haven't heard anything. My whole network of spies are on the way, my Mulburgers, as I call them. So look, whoever it is that's going to face off against Los Tranquilos is going to have, first of all, when we talked about so many big challenges and big matches over the weekend, possibly one of the biggest matches of the whole weekend, barring maybe the 3 finals that we're going to be seeing. This will be it, and it will be on show 2. So whoever gets the chance to face them is basically getting a chance to put their name in literal gold. And
okay, so real question though, like, and this goes to everyone in the chat: who do you want to see these guys face?
Well, Mark, that's what we were just saying. We assumed when you dropped off there that you've gone to finally confirm the scoop that you're about to bring us on who it is.
I was trying to find out. I'm like, look, can you tell me? I'm still being told no. I'm being told we don't have opponents yet, but I'm not sure if I believe that. I think they're trying to like calm me down. But I want to find out. I need to find out because, like, you know, usually I wind Mett up with these things. Like, I like to be like, oh, you're never going to guess who this one's facing. And he goes,
not
crazy.
fun on this side of the wall, is it?
No, I want to know because this is huge.
I mean,
and we're all in the dark.
There's already people in the chat telling us, I mean, keep these guesses coming in because I wish we could get every one of those. I mean,
look, even if this is not the match, like, can we just get Naito to slap the shit out of Norman Harris anyway? That would be the.
I'll pay extra to see that. Like,
yeah, look, it doesn't even need to happen like you know in the ring. Like, if we can get this to happen in the locker room, we'll get someone to film it. I promise it will be beautiful. The Cowboy away. Oh, I mean. The Cowboy, Manders, he's got a big match that evening. I don't know if I know he'd love to face these guys, but I'm not sure he would when he's got to defend that unified title.
Oh, he would do it.
Worry.
Oh, no, he would 100%.
He probably would, but I'm not sure it would be wise. They're saying the loser of KXS versus The Grind. I mean, Eva would be phenomenal. Ring comp, I'm not sure that's something we're able to make happen. But, like, you know, if anything was possible and we had the budget, that would be superb.
I mean, look, whoever's going to face them, I'm so excited for this. The Hype Dogs would be an amazing match. This is actually kind of a
Hype Dogs are a wrestling Planet Gojira on show 2. So, like, as much as I'd love to see it, like, I wouldn't want Hype Dogs to either already have wrestled Planet Gojira before going up against Los Tranquilos, or to wrestle Los Tranquilos first and then go up against Planet Gojira. Like,
but
I'd hate for that to be the scenario for them.
That's how big it is that Los Tranquilos are going to be here on that weekend. That the thing we talked about is all these people who are having matches already on that show. But I promise you, if you tell any of them, hey, this opportunity is here, do you want to do double duty and maybe even threaten your chances at the tournament? I don't think anybody would say no.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, it's great to see everyone's suggestions. Maybe another surprise. Maybe. I don't know. No one's telling me anything. I went off to make that phone call and I'm still being told, no, we can't tell you anything.
Well, so we have really no insight we can have here. I agree with the point though that if you're one of the teams who is already announced to be in the quarterfinals of the World Tag Team Festival on show 1 or show 2, then that would be a big risk. It's also I get it. It's a big opportunity that it would be very hard to turn down. If someone said, yeah, you're still in the tournament, but on the same show, on the same day or whatever, do you want to face Los Tranquilos de Japón? You're not going to say no, but it does mean you're kind of putting your eggs in maybe too many baskets.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be phenomenal. Please stay tuned to social media. If you can be there live, trust me, get your tickets for this one. You will not want to miss this. And I'm so excited. But with that in mind, gentlemen, we're about to come up to our first big surprise of the evening.
Okay.
This is something very special that our team has produced. And Do you know what? I'm not sure I can really do this justice. So I would like to present this to the world right now. Enjoy.
What does the great outdoors mean to me? It reminds me of home. That's what I did every day. I was about 18 years old, went to the University of Iowa. And even then, still was outside playing football, but like just going outside, just with nature, like, you know, it just brings back memories of just, you know, just doing farm work and just doing it with grandpa and just like that kind of stuff. So a lot of it's family. So that's what it represents. Unified title. What does it mean to the one called Manders? It means everything because it's how I won 16 karat. It's how I finally have a world title, traveling all over the world, representing wXw, representing one called Manders, the boss of the plains, and to kind of wave that flag, being the, hey, you're the guy. When this whole entire time for the last 8 years, I've been just a secondary guy. People doubted me, and I've been doubted my whole life anyway, so I think having that is, you know, that's what it means to me. It means I could be a guy, I could be the guy. And everything that I've done to this point to get this, I wouldn't change it at all. If I had to do it all over again, I'd do it all over again. And if that's scratching and clawing with, you know, Elia Bloom, or whoever it may be, then so damn be it. Because that's just the way we do it. When you think of the one called Manders, when you think of my whole entire life, everything has been physical. Everything's physicality. Playing football, you know, being in the field throwing hay around, like, you know, just like nothing's easy. And it's not supposed to be easy. And that's okay. I'm totally cool with that. Peter Tihani, the golden boy. Look, I think Peter's all talented. He's one of the most talented people I've ever seen. You're a once a generational talent, no doubt about it. But I've seen so many guys like him that say that they're the end all be all. But what happens when talent doesn't want to work hard? You think things are supposed to be given to you. That's not how life works. Things are earned, not given. You got hurt. What happens? Life keeps going. wXw keeps going, with or without you. The only time you arrive, Mark, is when you're 6 feet in the damn ground. Until then, you're still here. So you ain't shit in my book. You want to claim that you're the wXw real unified world wrestling champion? Then you're gonna have to beat me, the boss of the plains, the one called Manders. I got more grit, more attitude in my pinky than he does in his whole body. But come Grand Prix, I'm gonna lariat the piss out of him. And I'm gonna chop him till his chest looks like hamburger meat. And then, let's see if he wants to be unified world wrestling champion.
Okay, so ladies, gentlemen, what do you make of that? From those words there, from wXw Unified World Wrestling Champion, the one called Manders. Dave, your thoughts, please.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think, you know, we've talked about people who've had a great year. One called Manders, everything he's done from winning 16 karat until, you know, to then claiming the championship and holding on to it this entire time. He is one of those people who, I'm trying to think if there's any other parallel, maybe Irie, for people like for foreigners, non-Europeans who come to wXw and been embraced on the level that Manders has been, and therefore been able to have the success that he has. And it's a remarkable achievement to do that so far away from home. I think with Tihani, we were talking about people having chips on their shoulders. He clearly believes, as we just heard, that he should be the unified world wrestling champion, and that, you know, that if it wasn't for the terrible luck he's had, then that would be the case. Well, he gets the chance now. You know, he's back as far as we can tell. He's 100%. He's had plenty of time to heal, and this will be the opportunity to prove if he really is the real deal. That despite everything Manders has done in 2025, I'm Peter Tihani and I can beat you. And if he can't prove that, then sit down, because one called Manders remains the man. Another question, though, by the way, is why on earth is Tihanyi hanging out with that leech, Robin Christopher Forberg again? I don't understand the logic of that.
I mean, I can't even begin to fathom, especially after, he completely ruined his own company and that's now bankrupt. I don't know, Mett, can you make head or tail of that?
Look, I just do commentary with the guy. All I can say is the fact that his assets have been liquidated. It's fun, and I'm loving every second of seeing that human being.
Bruno,
what is wrong with you?
In disguise, like his Forberg hacked your account. Like, what
doesn't have the money to pay you for statements like this anymore.
That is
he's got no money.
The thing is, I'm happy seeing Forberg humbled and Forberg in this position where he can't look
Rob
down
seems
on
to think
people.
He's now Tihanyi's personal chauffeur. I mean, we did see him driving around in the vlog recently. That was a first.
Can he drive? Can he drive well?
I doubt it. I mean, he's had people doing that for him before, I'm pretty sure. But look, if Forberg being the slimy weaselly toad that he is, at the end of the day, this match is going to be Peter Tihanyi and the one called Manders. And we heard so much now from Manders, right? And I think I've made no secret of the fact that I highly respect Manders as a competitor and as a human being, because that's a guy that puts his head down, who does the work, who's grit and grime. And I've said this time and time again, and I've said this in his matches against Bloom. I've said this in his matches against Ahura. Manders wants a fight. Manders wants a dog fight. He'll whittle you down to your most essential parts, and he'll keep grinding at you beyond that point to see just how tough you are. I would venture to say that Ahura and Bloom have come out of their matches with Manders tougher individuals, people with thicker skin, harder human beings. And I think Tihanyi is very much ready for an attitude adjustment like that. Tihanyi has just inflated his ego to a level that I never thought possible, because this was a human being that we all cheered for. This was a human being that, Dave, me and you called 16 Karat Gold 2024 together. And we were behind Tihanyi. We were hoping that he comes out as the golden champion, the golden boy of wXw over that tournament. And I think that was the moment where it was a switch in his mind that went off that turned him into what he is today. I think this match is going to be a battle between hard work, grit, and putting your nose to the grindstone against an entitlement, ego, overinflated self-belief, but also unbelievably, unequivocally deep talent. This is very much hard work against talent. And I think this match is one that I am absolutely excited to see which way it goes. I hope that toad on the left side gets barred from ringside for the entirety of the weekend and forever for every WXW event. But
I hope he gets barred from commentary. I don't know why we keep on having to deal with him on.
I swear to God, if you sit me next to that toad again that weekend, Mark,
it's not up to me. Like, if it was up to me, we wouldn't even have this guy anywhere near our production. I don't know why he's still there. I thought we got rid of him.
All right. Well, either way, I think this match is going to be this is a very deserving match for the Unified World Wrestling Championship. I want to see if Tihanyi can back up what he says, or if he's just going to be another body that keeps running its mouth while Manders just lariats the piss out of him. And that's his words, not mine.
Exactly. What do you think? And I was joking about this earlier about not sitting on the fence. So, do you have an actual prediction here, Mett?
Honestly, this is a match where I'm too cautious. Like, look, Manders has said everybody, after winning against Ahura Churka to the top, he said everybody's been talking about who's going to beat me, who's going to take that title off of me. Well, the age of the cowboy is here, and Manders is going to be the boss of WXW for a long time. I would not put any doubt into his words, especially if you haven't seen Manders, just listening to what he said in the resolve.
You're saying Manders. You're saying Manders.
I think it's very difficult to bet
He's
against.
He's definitely saying Manders. He just doesn't want to say Manders because he's afraid he's going to have to sit next to Forberg on commentary, and he's not going to hear the end of it.
No, that is absolutely the case. I want to believe with all my heart it's Manders. I'm scared of Tihanyi, but at the same time, I can't bet against Manders. We've seen him time and time again. I think we're living in the age of the one called Manders.
See, I just have a feeling, and I hope I'm wrong, because it's not just Forwerk I dislike. I really do quite strongly dislike Peter Tihanyi, and I certainly never used to dislike him. As you said, Matt, we used to be big supporters of his and big fans. But one of the most frustrating things about Peter Tihanyi is he hasn't said much since he's been back, but he's had plenty to say in the past about how good he is, and annoyingly, he's right. He is that good, and it just feels like that he's one of those guys when he says, "Oh, I'm the rightful unified world wrestling champion." It is cockiness, but it's not just cockiness. I feel like as much, and I apologize to everyone who's a One Called Manders fan. There's very few bigger One Called Manders fans than I am, but I do just wonder whether he's right again, and whether he is the man who should be the unified world wrestling champion, because it's meant to be. Maybe it's the age of Peter Tihanyi. Maybe it's not the age of One Called Manders. Maybe it's only been the age of One Called Manders because Tihanyi wasn't here. I hope against hope that that's wrong, because I would like to see One Called Manders continue as champion for a very long time.
Do you know, I'm not gonna lie, like, until you said it, it never crossed my mind. And when you said it also paid me when you said maybe the only reason it's the time of Manders is because Peter hasn't been around. And that literally hurt me, because I don't know, like, I don't want to believe that to be true. But I guess we're going to find out at show 3 on the Saturday night of Pro Wrestling Grand Prix. Yeah, and obviously, like, I was fortunate enough to be able to produce this video, working with the phenomenally talented Sandy Tihanyi on shooting and editing this. And it was great to get to spend more time with Manders, get to know him a little bit better. And as you saw in the video, he's all about just hard work, determination, doing the right thing, and that's exactly what he's done constantly since he's been here in wXw. And I really just personally don't want to see all that hard work and good effort and good attitude just ripped away from him by the likes of Peter Tihanyi and Robin Christopher Forwerk.
I mean, it won't be because of Forwerk. I don't get what, for all of Tihanyi's cockiness and self-confidence, whatever you want to call it, I don't get why you voluntarily hang out with a parasite. But if there's someone who's trying to take from you, why do you keep them around? And that's maybe Tihanyi's a tactical genius, and he's got some reason that I don't understand. But that, Dave, to me is the one question mark.
I don't want to interrupt you, but I'll be honest with you. That's what scares me the most, the fact that Tihanyi is keeping him out. Because look, as much as I talk about Tihanyi's inflated ego, I've talked about his wealth of talent. And I'll tell you this, off of interactions with him before his change and seeing the way he operates after, the man is not an idiot. The man is highly intelligent, and you have to be highly intelligent to perform in the way that he did before the injury and to win Shortcut to the Top again, even if it is a stone cold surprise that he showed up. But the thing is, that's what scares me the most. The fact that Tihanyi is keeping Forwerk around. I feel like that means Tihanyi sees some value in keeping Forwerk around, and not knowing where that value might come is what scares me the most. Because
but maybe Rob's right. Maybe it's just someone to carry his bags, to drive him around. Like, maybe that's it. Like, I don't know.
Maybe we're overthinking it.
Maybe.
But
I hope so.
Well, look, like, I feel like you could clearly see at Shortcuts to the Top when he returned, there was something different about their relationship, right? Something different from what we saw in the vlog. And I don't know. I can't quite put my finger. I mean, look, our cameras are going to be catching up with Peter and Forwerk sometime this week. Because, especially as well, they heard about this video we made with Manders, and Forwerk was blowing up my phone saying we have to do one with Peter. It's like, yes, of course. Like, we will. Like, no problem.
Block his number.
Why do you even have his number?
He's got a bunch of burners. He won't leave me alone. He just gets a new number. But look, I'm sure we're going to hear their reply, and I'm sure, I hope we'll get a deeper insight into whatever's going on between them. But yeah, Dave, I definitely share your sentiments. I really don't understand why he's around, unless it is just, you know, to maybe not put it in the politest of terms, Peter needs someone to wipe his ass for him.
That's an image I'm not getting out of my head.
Anyway, I've had enough of talking about Forberg. Like, we've said his name far too many times for someone who isn't even part of our stream tonight.
Thank God he's
which
not.
I am glad for. But here is my second big surprise, my second big reveal. On the Friday night, the first half of Show 1 will stream for free both on Triller TV and wXw now. The first half. So we've got an idea what our matches are. Well, we know our matches for night one. That we've already been told in all these tournaments what you're going to see. We don't know exactly what matches you're going to see on that first half, but tell everyone. If they don't know about wXw, if they're not sure about wXw, if they can't physically get a ticket to be there in Oberhausen with us, we're going to show them the first half for free to give them a little taster of the excitement and everything that they are missing in Oberhausen. This is going to be huge. Tell everyone. Literally everyone. Mett, you're loud. Scream it from the rooftops.
The first half is free. I think I heard my neighbors shuffling around to get that subscription. But look, here's the thing. The thing is, that first half is going to dictate the pace for the weekend. So
absolutely,
you're going to see that action, and you're going to realize just why wXw is special. And the best part is, as soon as you get that subscription on Triller TV Plus or wXw now, you get the entire weekend and everything in the past. So you're going to keep that for a whole month. So it is absolutely, if there is any weekend in professional wrestling in the month of September that you're going to want to see, it's going to be this. Hell, even in this entire 6 months period.
I mean, let's get real. The people who are joining us here tonight, they already know how big and exciting this weekend's going to be. I'm sure most of them have tickets. And if they don't, it's only because they can't physically be there. So this is for you to tell everyone you know. Share this on all your socials. Shout it loud. Tell everyone you meet that they're going to get to enjoy the pleasure of Dave Bradshaw's company free on Triller TV. I bet you're excited for this, Dave.
Yeah, I worry that that's probably turned a few people off. But no, seriously, I think it's a really I love it when companies like wXw do this, because I think it's such a smart way. As I said, we're preaching to the choir on a stream like this, because presumably everyone who's watching this is the majority will probably be there in person, but certainly the others will be watching online anyway. But what keeps independent wrestling alive and helps us show people that what our guys do on these shows is some of the best, not just wrestling, but some of the best entertainment on the planet. We need to keep growing our audience. We need to keep introducing this incredible art form that we're all privileged to be a part of. If we can show it to more people, then that's all to the better. And so giving that extra taster and hopefully hooking people on for the rest of the weekend, and then hopefully making lifelong fans of them is such a smart and such a useful thing to do. And I hope we are able to reach a lot of new people this way.
Absolutely. We have some of the best wrestlers from around the world, not just German wrestlers, not just European wrestlers, but from around the world. There's phenomenal talent coming in from the US, from Japan, and they are all going to be here in Oberhausen, and we're going to show the world exactly how incredible wXw is, how incredible independent wrestling is. So please, everyone who's here with us, make sure you tell everyone you know about this. They do not want to miss the first half of Show 1 for free, because I'm sure you know people who still haven't made the leap, who still haven't bothered checking us out. Now they have no excuse. They're going to get to see it both in English and German. First half for free. This is going to be incredible. This is going to be the Pro Wrestling Grand Prix. 7 shows over 1 weekend. It is going to be so exciting. And we're less than 3 weeks away from when it all kicks off. Dave, any final thoughts to share with the people before we wrap up here this evening?
Look, yeah, I said it at the start. I'm just, I love coming over here to Germany. I love being a part of the action on any one of these weekends. But as we've just seen going through all of this, it's something that we've never tried this before, right? It's the first ever Pro Wrestling Grand Prix to have 3 tournaments going on in tandem. I don't know, not tandem. Tandem is 2. But in 3 of them at the same time, it is a very different way of doing it. You know, rather than having, for example, Femmes Fatales was a single event that all happened within 2 or 3 hours last year. So to have all 3 of these tournaments stretching over those 3 days makes it all the more exciting. It's both men's singles, women's singles, and tag team. So you kind of got everything covered there, and it just feels like this has the potential to be one of those times where we look back at trying this format for the first time and be like, oh my God, we struck gold here. This was an incredible way to run this weekend, and
absolutely,
I hope it's going to be the first of many.
Yeah, and just to answer your question here, yes, Naito is only on show 2. There is also a meet and greet happening immediately after show 2. I can't remember if the tickets are currently on sale or if they go on sale tomorrow. But you want to be there, but you also don't want to miss the Saturday evening show. You don't want to miss anything this weekend. But yeah, Naito is only appearing show 2. So do not miss that. That's the Saturday afternoon show. Gonna be phenomenal. And chat, if you have any further questions, hit us up. Also tell us what you're most excited about. And Matt, what are you most excited about apart from schnitzel after the show?
I'm excited to eat Dave under the table with schnitzel. He's gonna lose on. You've been talking a lot of trash about schnitzel, and I know you talked about the mayor of Painesville and sort of Mario Kart, but
the dictator of Painesville.
The dictator of Painesville. I do agree with that. I would have applied if there were any kind of elections going on. So it must be a tyrant. As for apart from the schnitzel, look, they've put it into such a nice bow in such a fine way. You've got 3 tournaments going concurrently. You've got Inner Circle before that, and all the surprises that brings with it. The chaos of Extreme Wrestling Party. We Love Wrestling with just all the support. Like, We Love Wrestling shows, I don't think get enough love over these weekends because it's always a time for like, oh, it's like a second Inner Circle. You get the first one where we have no idea what's going to happen, who's going to be on there, and then We Love Wrestling, where you got maybe a bit more of an inkling, but it's still such a nice surprise. And look, I think one of my favorite things about all these wXw weekends is getting to know and see all these new talents. And I play this little game every time we have these big festivals where I try to guess who's that next Shigehiro Irie, who's that next one called Manders, Thomas Shire, Adam Priest, this guy that's going to just captivate the fans here in Germany and maybe create a gigantic new platform for them that helps them launch their careers, not just here in Germany or in Europe or in the UK, but in the States or wherever it may be. So, I'm looking forward to all the new faces, whether it be, your Matthew Justices or your LeBron Cazones. And I'm just excited for all the surprises and all the drama that it comes with it. And I feel like the worst time of a festival weekend is those first few minutes after it's done, after you realize, oh my God, it's over and I have to wait for 16 karat gold. But that's also one of those times where you're most grateful for weekends like this, where you get to just enjoy yourself in the bubble of pro wrestling, whether you see it there live or at home. It's just always such a special time and one of those times of the year that I personally wait for with bated breaths.
Yeah, absolutely. So just looking at some of our comments, awesome to see everyone helping each other out there. And I know you're a bit nervous about the weekend. Like, it might seem a little scary at first, but you are going to have the absolute best time. You're going to meet some of the absolute best people. And I'm sure you're going to sit there and wonder, why did I never come to one of these shows before? Why did I never come to a festival weekend before? It's going to be absolutely incredible. And we are excited to see you there. Thank you for coming.
wXw is a safe space. Yeah, I'll say
absolutely. We asking, will we get the Schnitzel Eating Contest Extreme Wrestling Party this year?
I'm down if this coward is.
Ask our matchmakers. You might want
to. Don't want none. You don't want none of this.
Okay.
You don't want the smoke or the fire, buddy.
Okay, these boys can both shut up because I'm so bored of hearing about this Schnitzel Eating Contest that has never happened.
Blame Dave. Don't look at me.
So there's a lot Wrestling Focus is excited for, but not Forberg. And I think we pretty much all share that sentiment. So Sebastian, there are no tournament trees. So once everyone has won each round of their respective tournament, the next round will be blind bracketed. It will be drawn as random. So it's not as if we know who's going to face who in later stages. The next stage will be a random blind drawing that we will only find out the minute it happens, which means that whichever four kind of win and go through to the semifinals in each of the knockout tournaments, we don't know which match we're going to get. And there's so many potential matches. That is half the fun. That is half of the excitement. It's going to be incredible. It's got to be a donor. Mulberg, do you agree?
Don't you dare play with me, Mark. Shawarma.
Oh, wow. Okay, for me, it's a donor. Dave?
I don't know. What is a shawarma?
Oh, okay. I'm bringing you into my culture.
That is.
Oh, Jesus. It's all kicking off
culture,
now.
my buddy. I'm bringing you in there.
Wow. So yeah, awesome. Guys, I think we are out of time. You've been dealing with us for almost an hour and 55 minutes now. We've been dealing with Mulberg for almost an hour and 55 minutes now. I think that is enough for everybody. But thank you all so much for joining. Thank you all so much for being a part of tonight's stream. We hope you're all excited, and we're going to close you out by showing you once again this phenomenal interview, this phenomenal video we have made on the one called Manders.
What does the great outdoors mean to me? It reminds me of home. That's what I did every day. I was about 18 years old, went to the University of Iowa. And even then, still was outside playing football, but like just going outside, just with nature, like, you know, it just brings back memories of just, you know, just doing farm work and just doing it with Grandpa and just like that kind of stuff. So a lot of it's family. So that's what it represents. Unified title. What does it mean to the one called Manders? It means everything, because it's how I won 16 karat. It's how I finally have a world title, traveling all over the world, representing wXw, representing one called Manders, the boss of the plains, and to kind of wave that flag, being the, hey, you're the guy. When this whole entire time for the last 8 years, I've been just a secondary guy. People doubted me, and I've been doubted my whole life anyway, so I think having that is, you know, that's what it means to me. It means I could be a guy, I could be the guy. And everything that I've done to this point to get this, I wouldn't change it at all. If I had to do it all over again, I'd do it all over again. And if that's scratching and clawing with, you know, Elia Bloom, or whoever it may be, so damn be it. Because that's just the way we do it. When you think of the one called Manders, when you think of my whole entire life, everything has been physical. Everything's physicality. Playing football, you know, being in the field throwing hay around, like, you know, just like nothing's easy. And it's not supposed to be easy. And that's okay. I'm totally cool with that. Peter Tihani, the golden boy. Look, I think Peter's all talented. He's one of the most talented people I've ever seen. You're a once a generational talent, no doubt about it. But I've seen so many guys like him that say that they're the end all be all. But what happens when talent doesn't want to work hard? You think things are supposed to be given to you. That's not how life works. Things are earned, not given. You got hurt. What happens? Life keeps going. wXw keeps going, with or without you. The only time you arrive, Mark, is when you're 6 feet in the damn ground. Until then, you're still here. So you ain't shit in my book. You want to claim that you're the wXw real unified world wrestling champion? Then you're gonna have to beat me, the boss of the plains, the one called Manders. I got more grit, more attitude in my pinky than he does in his whole body. But come Grand Prix, I'm gonna lariat the piss out of him. And I'm gonna chop him till his chest looks like hamburger meat. And then, let's see if he wants to be unified world wrestling champion.